In today's digital age, sensational headlines often outpace the truth. With just a few taps, stories can go viral, capturing our attention before we have a chance to question their accuracy. The internet rewards speed and shock value, not careful investigation, and this environment is fertile ground for myths to flourish. The latest example claims that Elon Musk pulled off a $70 billion power move to buy every competitor to the Panama Canal. The story exploded across social media, with headlines suggesting Musk had single-handedly taken control of global shipping routes, outmaneuvering governments and corporations alike. The story conjures images of a billionaire reshaping global trade with a single, audacious deal. It's the kind of narrative that feels almost cinematic. One person, immense wealth, and a world-changing decision. It's easy to see why people would be captivated by such a tale. It's a narrative tailor-made for our fascination with tech titans and simple solutions to complex problems. We love stories where a single visionary disrupts entire industries, and the idea of Musk buying out the Panama Canal's rivals fits perfectly into that mold. But beneath the viral headline there's no substance, just a masterclass in modern misinformation. The story was built on speculation, not facts, and quickly snowballed as people shared it without checking its origins. In reality, no such deal ever took place. The tale spread rapidly online, gaining traction with every share, despite being pure fiction. Social media algorithms amplified the story, pushing it to millions of feeds and making it seem more credible with each retweet and like. In reality, the global shipping world is full of drama, but this particular story is a fabrication. The real world of international trade is shaped by complex agreements, government oversight, and decades of infrastructure, not by a single billionaire's whim. To understand the truth, we need to look past the hype and examine the real forces shaping the Panama Canal. Only by digging deeper can we separate fact from fiction and appreciate the genuine challenges and innovations that define global shipping today. Scrutinizing the Musk Canal story, it quickly unravels. No credible news outlet, corporate filing, or official statement supports the claim. A $70 billion deal involving global infrastructure would be impossible to hide. The idea of acquiring every competitor to the Panama Canal is incoherent. Many are state-owned or geographically impossible to control. The only public link between Musk and the canal is a passing political joke, not a business deal. The $70 billion figure is arbitrary, chosen for shock value. This is classic disinformation, leveraging a famous name to sell a fantasy. The real story? The Musk Canal power move is pure fiction. Why do stories about the Panama Canal grab us? What is it about this narrow strip of water, carved through the heart of Central America, that captures the world's imagination and headlines time and again? The answer lies in its staggering importance. The Panama Canal isn't just a marvel of engineering, it's a living artery of global trade, pulsing with the movement of goods that touch nearly every corner of our lives. Stretching 51 miles, this waterway forms a vital shortcut between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. By allowing ships to bypass the long, perilous journey around South America's Cape Horn, it saves weeks of travel, slashes fuel costs, and reduces risks for thousands of vessels each year. Every year, the canal handles about 2.5% of all global ocean traffic. That means millions of tons of cargo, electronics, cars, food, fuel, and raw materials flow through its locks, connecting producers and consumers across continents. For the United States, the canal's role is even more pronounced. A significant share of the cargo passing through is bound for or coming from American ports, making it a critical link in the nation's supply chain and economic security. Any disruption, whether from natural disasters, political tensions, or operational challenges, can send shockwaves through the U.S. economy, affecting everything from stock markets to the prices and availability of everyday goods. Beyond commerce, the canal is a strategic military asset. It enables the rapid movement of naval forces between oceans, giving the U.S. and its allies a crucial advantage in times of crisis or conflict. But the canal is not invincible. Recent droughts have exposed its vulnerabilities, forcing authorities to impose restrictions, limit ship transits, and raise fees, reminding the world how fragile this lifeline can be in the face of climate change. These ongoing challenges keep the canal in the global spotlight, drawing the attention of journalists, diplomats, and business leaders who recognize its pivotal role in international affairs. The Panama Canal's unique blend of economic power, military significance, and environmental vulnerability ensures it remains at the very center of world attention, a true lifeline of global commerce and a symbol of both human ingenuity and our shared challenges. The Panama Canal story is inseparable from U.S. intervention in Latin America. The U.S. built and controlled the canal for most of the 20th century, fueling both pride and resentment. In the 1970s, the Torrijos-Carter treaties set the stage for Panama's full control, completed in 1999. Today, the U.S. remains the canal's biggest user, but tensions persist, especially over fees and foreign influence. Recent U.S. rhetoric about taking back the canal revives old disputes and challenges Panama's sovereignty. Panama's leaders have responded firmly. Their control is non-negotiable. The U.S.-Panama relationship is a delicate balance of partnership and power. Every modern dispute is shaped by this long history of control and transfer. The canal's sovereignty remains a flashpoint in regional politics. The Panama Canal debate is fueled by a deeper anxiety: America's maritime decline. This isn't just about a single waterway or a fleeting policy dispute. It's about the erosion of a once mighty maritime legacy that underpinned the nation's economic and military strength for generations. After World War II, the United States stood at the helm of global shipping. American shipyards bustled with activity, and U.S.-flagged vessels crisscrossed the world's oceans, carrying goods and projecting American influence to every corner of the globe. The merchant marine was a symbol of national pride and a pillar of prosperity. Today, that dominance has faded. The U.S. merchant fleet is a shadow of its former self, with many docks now eerily quiet and ships left to rust. The numbers tell a stark story: where once thousands of American ships sailed, now only a few hundred remain. U.S.-flagged ships now carry only a tiny fraction of world cargo. The vast majority of goods that Americans rely on, everything from electronics to clothing to food, arrive on foreign vessels, operated by overseas crews and companies. This dependence leaves the U.S. economy exposed to the whims of foreign shipping alliances and vulnerable to global supply chain shocks. When crises hit, like recent port backlogs and shipping delays, America's lack of control over its own maritime lifelines becomes painfully clear. The decline is not accidental. It's the result of decades of neglect, shifting economic priorities, and policy choices that favored cheaper foreign shipping over investment in American shipbuilding and logistics. Meanwhile, other nations, especially in Asia, have poured resources into building modern fleets and efficient ports, capturing the lion's share of global trade. Today, nearly 90% of U.S. cargo is moved by just 3 massive foreign shipping alliances. These conglomerates wield enormous power over what comes in and out of American ports, shaping the flow of commerce and, by extension, the nation's economic security. This is more than an economic issue. It's a strategic vulnerability. In times of crisis or conflict, the ability to move goods, fuel, and military supplies is essential. Relying on foreign ships for these lifelines puts national security at risk. During World War II, a robust merchant marine was the backbone of American military power, delivering troops and supplies across dangerous seas. Today, that capacity is greatly diminished, raising questions about America's ability to respond in a crisis. The Panama Canal debate is just one chapter in a much larger story: America's growing reliance on foreign powers for its own economic survival. The consequences ripple through every sector, from manufacturing to agriculture to national defense. The hollowing out of U.S. maritime strength has far-reaching consequences, threatening jobs, security, and the nation's ability to shape its own destiny on the world stage. As U.S. maritime power faded, China surged ahead. China now dominates every aspect of global shipping, from building ships and containers to manufacturing port cranes. Chinese companies produce 95% of the world's shipping containers and over half of new ocean-going vessels. In U.S. ports, most massive cranes are made in China, raising security concerns. China owns a top global shipping company and leads in logistics platforms, giving it vast economic and geopolitical leverage. This dominance lets China influence shipping rates and gather global trade data. While Panama denies Chinese control over the canal, China's investments in nearby ports fuel U.S. anxieties. China's maritime rise has fundamentally shifted the global balance of power. America's maritime decline and China's rise have put the Panama Canal back in Washington's spotlight. Once a settled issue, the canal is now seen as a strategic asset in a new era of great power competition. Recent U.S. threats to take back the canal reflect deep anxieties about lost leverage. The U.S. is ramping up diplomatic pressure and economic offers to counter China's influence. Heavy-handed tactics risk pushing Panama closer to China or alienating other Latin American nations. The challenge: protect U.S. interests without undermining Panamanian sovereignty. Navigating this diplomatic tightrope is as tricky as steering a ship through the canal itself. The canal's neutrality is once again a top U.S. foreign policy priority. The Panama Canal is now a three-way chess match. The U.S. wants to maintain influence and secure its trade routes. China seeks to expand its commercial footprint, investing in ports and infrastructure. Panama, caught in the middle, tries to maximize economic gains while protecting its sovereignty. Every decision on port deals, investments, or diplomacy requires careful balancing. The U.S. fears China's commercial presence could lead to strategic control. While China insists its interests are purely economic, Panama leverages both powers but must avoid crossing red lines. The outcome will shape global trade and power for years to come. The Musk Canal story is a case study in how misinformation distorts public understanding of global issues. Viral, dramatic headlines drown out complex realities, feeding pre-existing anxieties about tech billionaires and global power. The real issues, America's maritime decline, China's shipping dominance, U.S.-Panama tensions, and environmental threats, are far more important. Misinformation distracts from these challenges and erodes trust in institutions. A misinformed public is more vulnerable to manipulation and poor policy choices. Navigating today's world requires skepticism and a commitment to credible sources. The Panama Canal's real story is a slow, intricate drama of nations and shifting power, not a billionaire's fantasy. Understanding these realities is crucial for anyone who wants to grasp the true forces shaping our world.